this clip with my phone and HDR. So it has 10-bit capacity. We can check that here in metadata. So it is in 4K 60 fps and bit depth it has is 10-bit, which is great. It means it has 1 billion colors. But this one I'll not use as HDR. I'll change it to Rec 709 because I want to make it compatible so that we can see it everywhere. So I'll quickly show you my motion settings. This is 920 by 1080, which is nice for now. I can choose it to 4K. It depends on me, but that will make my piece a little heavy, so that's why I'm not doing it. And 60 frames, okay. You can use HDR metadata, but I don't need that right now. 10-bit video bit depth, you should choose 10-bit if you have a 10-bit video. In my color management settings are very pretty basic. DaVinci RGB, Rec 709 scene, Rec 709 scene. So this is our clip. Alright, I have already parked my master shot. This is a master shot. Alright, yeah, this one or this one, you can choose any. And this is how it was shot. What I did was this. I color graded it into this. So I transformed it from this to this. I don't know if you guys are able to see or not, but I have also added halation and grain in it. I guess now you'll guys be able to see the halation. I'll quickly show this about proxies, and my proxy resolution is obviously 4. Okay, so I'll disable all of them by hitting Alt D, or I don't know what option Mac users have. I guess Option D maybe. Yeah, there's Option instead of Alt. So yeah, whatever, I mean. And I have my qualifier here, and you can see on my scopes that my display qualify focus is also on. You can click it over here, display qualify focus, and whenever you'll have your qualifier, it will show that specific area. Okay, so obviously it's shot on iPhone, and black part, you can see there's a lot of noise in it. It's not a lot of noise, it's a little noise. And what I did for it is I created a node which is noise reduction, and I have it label it as NR. And if I'll enable it quickly, so it's a very little change, as you can see, reducing just little noise. And I'm not doing it a lot because of the details which are present in here. To not remove those, I have just enabled my luma in chroma to like 5 and blend is at 0. So it's pretty basic, I guess. The next thing which I did was, actually it was the first thing which I did, because as you guys know that whenever you bring an HDR clip to a Rec 709 timeline, so it will lose its color. So to bring back all those colors, I'll go to my effects and I'll enable my CST, and you can see it makes a big difference. This is without CST, with CST. Now this is because my color space is like 2020 and gamma is 2.4. I've said these things, like if I disable all of them and I have to again set it, so I know that this is shot in HDR, so its color space will be either Rec 2020 or Rec 2100. So you can choose any one of them. I'll choose Rec 2020, and gamma was obviously gamma 2.4. And output color space, obviously you can either leave it as a use timeline, or you can set to like Rec 709 over here. And then again, now this time in output gamma, you have to choose gamma 2.4 again. You see the difference it made? If you leave it as it is, use timeline in gamma, then it will add a little more contrast, but the true nature of it is in gamma 2.4. So leave it as it is, like in gamma 2.4. And here you don't want to do anything like saturation preserving, DaVinci, just leave it as it is. In gamut mapping method, you can do like saturation compression, but it's up to you. I mean, there's no needs to do saturation compression right now. So I'll close my effects panel, and here you can see just with these two nodes we are able to achieve a pretty good amount of color. Like if I disable both of these and enable, this was the first step which I did. All right, and I knew from the starting that you can add a lot to it. Like you can go to LUTs, and in film looks, this comes with DaVinci Resolve already, like by default. So here you have all these LUTs. You can add these LUTs and you can do the magic. But for that we need to do one setting. We need to change all that setting, because first of all these LUTs are for X09 and we have that. Okay, we have X09, but you have to put these LUTs in Cineon film log. So for that we need to change one setting. That we can do by going to CST and going to effects, and right here in Gamma choose Cineon film log. Alright, instead of Gamma 2.4 choose Cineon film log, and when you do that, now you can apply any of that LUT without losing any quality. Oh, I'll enable this node. Yeah, now if you'll see, like, can you even see the difference? It's so, with using all the LUTs you can get all that color, all that contrast, saturation, that look you can get. And by the way, these are Kodak 2383, which is really, really great that DaVinci has this in like its default nature. So this is really great. And it also has a Fujifilms, but I like Kodak 2383, D6, D55, you have D60 and D65. Like D65 is the cooler one, D55 is more warmer one. So I'll make a separate video on these LUTs. Same as with Fujifilm D65, it's more on the cooler side. D55, it's more on the warmer side. Like you can use Fujifilm or Kodak. Okay, now you can use this and you can settle down there if you want to. But guys, I don't use LUT that much. I create my own look. So I'll disable this node and again go to my CST and remove my Cineon film log to again Gamma 2.4. Back in the game. And I'll save it, and yeah, I guess. So how did I make from this to this? How did I go from that to that? It's pretty basic. I'll show you step by step. So I have told you all like the basic things which I did. Now after that, you guys know I've told this in my previous videos also. First you have to color correct it. First you have to color correct your image. So obviously, second node was white balance or for exposure, so I'll enable it, and boom, what have we done? Okay, so I'll explain it. In here I have gone to my primaries and increase my gamma and decrease my gain. Now this is a thing which I do to get more of the highlights and shadows, or you can say to get more details on my shadow part. So I do this, and I roughly matches it with, sometimes like I do it to like 896 whenever my clip is like scopes are hitting to 896. I stop it right there, but this time I went to 768. And same goes with my shadow part. I change my lift also, like whenever they are touching 128, so that's good, but this time I didn't touch my lift. Obviously, then my next node was contrast because it's losing contrast. So then I went to my HDR panel, and in here I changed my contrast. Now what's the difference between this contrast and primary wheels contrast? The contrast in primary wheels also changes your color levels, okay, which we don't want. We just want the highlights, the highest parts, and there are lower parts to be more unity. So for that I went to this HDR panel, and here I increase my contrast. And increasing contrast here doesn't change your color levels, which is what we wanted. So then again I'll show you the difference with without contrast and with contrast. Huge difference, right? It just made changes in the higher and lower levels of a clip, not doing changes to the color levels. And then saturation, I know I've told this thing again in many of my videos. If you haven't watched it, please do check that out, guys. In here, saturation part, what we have to do is basically we have to see, like if I disable it, now you can see like saturation is good. And why it's good, you guys will be like, no, it's not good, you can add more. Because I know that I'm going to add these nodes after this, so that is already like going to add more saturation to it. Because I have my mind, so then I decrease saturation for like 5 minutes. So if you gotta decrease it, decrease to 45. If you gotta increase it, decrease to 5 or either 60, not more than that, not less than that. So yeah, that's something which I do. And this node was for look, but I didn't do anything with look. I straight up headed to glow. First I did vignette, obviously. If I show you, like, this is small step, you guys might not even notice that this is without vignette. With vignette, like simply just going to power windows and selecting your ellipse mask and then changing the size and aspect ratio of it and increase the softness. Now this is the main thing. Now I can't do like this, and you know, we are able to see this hard sharpened edge over here which we don't want. So for that, you need to increase your softness. I increase it to 12, which is nice. Actually it was to 11.6. Actually it was to 11.59, but let's round it off a little bit. Okay, these two nodes are for like this specific board. For example, suppose you are like in this clip also it's written it's team. Okay, it's for this company or in build tiles. You need to bring your subject back, and I did this later when I added these nodes. So first of all, let's head up to halation, because I added halation and grain first. So in effects panel, you need to search halation, and all these settings are the default settings of it. But what is the setting which I changed was, I'll just quickly, this is without halation, and when I enabled it, it was like this. I know, not that big of a difference, but I kind of like that. I'll zoom it and I'll show it to you. So this is without with halation, without, with. I just like this, red edge. So what I did was I decreased my spread. You can see over here, if you click this view glow alone, you will be able to see where halation is headed, or it is focusing more on which part of the clip. Usually halation is added to more of the contrasty parts or the highlighted, more of highlights parts. So I decrease the spread of the secondary glow as well as dial reflections. Dial reflections is basically a red edge, and secondary glow is the glow added to that edge. So like if I increase my spread, you might be able to see like the difference it is making. All right, but I don't want to change it. Point rated was the best, 0 rated was the best, and yeah, I pretty much did this only in halation node. And then I added my grain node. See, whenever I add my vignette, these three nodes, like these three nodes are the combo node. I add these three nodes together. Like you can see how much of a difference the grain is making. I don't know about YouTube's compression. Because of YouTube's compression, you guys might not be able to see the grain which I added. It's hard right now. Yeah, it is actually hard, but this is because you guys can see. Otherwise I just added like just a little to give the texture to the image. Like this is without grain and with grain. Like how much of texture it is adding, man, it's really great. And in here I increase opacity to 1, decrease the texture to 0, decrease my grain size, increase my grain strength to 0.25 and decrease softness and as well as saturation. And there is no blending over here, but you can do like, if you don't want that much of a grain, you can just blend it out. But I like grain, so I'll keep it like this only. And then I added my glow. Glow is pretty simple. Like this is without glow, with glow. And what I do in my glow node, obviously I change my first of all composite type to soft light, and then change my shine threshold to 0.5, which was pretty much it. Cause if I like show you guys like more than 0.5, like that is a lot. I don't want that much, so I'll just made it 0.5 again. And yeah, that was pretty much it. There was a little bit blending over here. It was like 0.8. So I mean, that looks great. Like whatever works for you simply works for you. Okay. And then I added this sky node. Now specifically what it does is basically, if I'll come over here in my primaries, so here you can see saturation 59. That's not a big of a deal. It's my personal thing which I did. I don't know like why. But if I come to qualifier, now here you can see I have did something with my qualifier. To see like what you are selecting in with your qualifiers, hit shift H, which will be this one, this node. Like I have to enable this node. I'm sorry, I forgot to enable this node. Yeah, so this is the thing which I did with my sky node. Like, can you even see how much of a difference it's making just with this sky node? And I'll tell you why. First of all, most of the image is covered by the steam, clouds, and the sky. If I'll disable this node, here you can see like that part is literally not at all saturated. Like it's where it is. Like you can see in the scopes, it's all white out. Okay, and I don't want that. I wanted to add more saturation to it. So what I did was I went up to my qualifiers and then selected all of this. Like you can see it's a good qualifier. It's like it's masked properly. Okay, and I did some changes to my saturation, luminance, and I increased a clean white. Like this you can see it's a good mask over here. So then after when we have this mask, now I head up to my what is this, my curves, and in curves over right here you can see I did a lot of changes. Like if I show you guys separately with my Y, we have this curve with my, and if I show you guys RGB separately, in my red curve I put it down over here, and then in my green I just kept it like that, and in my blue I increase it to like this. Because of that we are getting this cyan look in our clouds or in our sky. To get the cyan look you have to do like this. You have to bring your blue curve up right here and the red down right there. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like if I decrease my red more down in my shadow part, it will add more cyan. Like if I show you right now by doing it, like this is how it is looking right now. If I decrease it, can you see more of cyan is added? I don't want that much. That is too much of stylized. It's not even stylized. It's like you're forcing it to look like that. Okay, so that is pretty much basic. And you can even come to like human saturation and then increase the saturation. And I mean, you can see, right? If I increase my cyan saturation, I selected this by clicking over here, and then you can increase the saturation by coming over here. But I don't want that much of saturation. I'll just increase it up at like 1.05, I guess. That's pretty much it. And then again you can select your indigo and also increase the saturation of that, but I'll decrease it like 0.95, so it will help in balancing out the thing which I did in over here with my cyan, and so it will just balance it out a little bit. So yeah, it's also helping. And I added this look node, but I did nothing in this look node because like our clip is already pushed very much. Now this is the benefit of 10-bit. Like I can push it even more if I want to. And if you have 12-bit, that is like really great. Like you have what, 20 million colors more or 200 million colors more, which is really great. So as much as high you can go in bit depth of color, that is really great, because in post it will help you a lot, like it is doing right now. And now I'll show you my last two nodes, which is this. Like I'm just bringing back the board. Okay, so this is without these two nodes, this is with these two nodes. Like big of a difference it is making. Like, I'll show you what it's doing. In my this 11th node, I just shows my what is this? And by the way, this curve over right here, it's all of these like R, G, B, and Y all selected. Okay, yeah. And I came to my power windows, and here selected this rectangle, and then added it, and then went to track and click this button, like track this one, track forward as well as reverse, so which is a great thing. And then it track like the whole clip. As you can see, it is sticking to it in the whole clip, which is again a great thing. You should know tracking as well. Like, just knowing power windows is a good thing, but you have to track it. And then I added a outside node of it. So like, if I show you Shift H in this node, so this is like changing things outside of this board. All right, what I did over here was I just decreased the curves right here. Okay, so that's why with this node, all of the images like downgraded a bit. Okay, but in the next node, and this outside node is basically the mask which you have selected in your previous node will be inverted out in this node. So if I do Shift H in this, like, you can see the difference, right? In this node it was outside this board, in this node this is inside this board. All right, so outside node will invert that thing, as you see, and will automatically add this alpha output to this node. And in here, what I did was basically came to my hue versus saturation and decrease my cyan as well as my indigo. Now, why I did this, let me show you. First of all, I came to my primaries and increased my contrast. Okay, bringing like coming out that much, so I have to bring that out. And you can see over here this like in my qualifiers, if I do Shift H, my qualifier also selecting part like this orange tiles font or text over here. Now I don't want that, because we have now this power window, and because of it I was able to take that blue out. So what I did was I just headed to my hue versus sat and decrease my cyan and indigo, and we have that white again back to the clip. So that's pretty much it, I guess. Now if you guys want to add, like, I'll go to my effects, and now if you want to add the LUT to the image, you can do that also. Like, who's stopping you? Come to this LUT panel over here and go to film look, and boom, you can select. Like, it's looking pretty good actually, but I don't like that much of a hard look, in my clip. It's very hard. It's actually looking like a film scene or shot. Now you can add these Kodak 2383 LUTs or the Fujifilm ones. Man, looking great, right? But like, I'll just with a bigger screen. Like, you can add these. It's totally up to you. I told you how you can use them just by going to CST and applying Cineon film log to the output gamma. Okay, but I don't want that. I'll again change it to like gamma 2.4. We were already. And yes, so that's how I image from this to this, and I guess this is looking pretty good, because to me it's really good. Like, what else do you want? One thing you can do is you can basically come to halation and grain, and you can disable these two nodes if you want to. Like, without these two nodes also, it's looking pretty good. Yeah, so it's totally up to you. And that's it, guys, for today. So thank you so much for watching. If you guys like this video, so like this video and subscribe to my channel for more awesome coming updates and this amazing content. So thank you so much. Bye bye.